Hello everyone. Welcome to our session on NEET Biology for Class 11. Today, we are diving into the fascinating chapter of breathing and exchange of gases, specifically focusing on the mechanism of breathing. Have you ever wondered how your body automatically takes in air and lets it out without you even thinking about it? We'll explore this incredible process step by step. Get ready for a journey through easy, medium, hard, and hardest levels of understanding, unraveling the secrets of how you breathe. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is breathing, and what are its main components? We'll break down the simplest ideas first. Breathing is a fundamental process for all living organisms, allowing us to take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. It's essentially a two-part act: inspiration, where we breathe in, and expiration, where we breathe out. These actions are crucial because oxygen is needed by our cells to produce energy, and carbon dioxide is a waste product that needs to be removed. So, at its core, breathing is about exchanging gases to keep our body's powerhouses running smoothly. Now, let's look at how our body performs these two acts. When you breathe in, your diaphragm, a strong muscle below your lungs, contracts and moves down. At the same time, muscles between your ribs pull your ribcage up and out. These movements increase the space inside your chest, which lowers the air pressure within your lungs. Because air always moves from higher pressure to lower pressure, outside air rushes into your lungs. When you breathe out, these muscles relax. The diaphragm moves up, and the rib cage moves down and in. This reduces the space in your chest, increasing the air pressure inside your lungs, which then pushes the air out. It's like a natural pump. Time to test your understanding of the basic mechanism of breathing. Here are 3 practice questions to see how well you've grasped the concepts of inspiration, expiration, and the roles of the diaphragm and rib cage. Take a moment to think about each one before checking your answers. Ready to go a bit deeper? Now we'll explore the why and how behind these movements, diving into the pressure changes and the specific muscles involved. The entire mechanism of breathing is driven by a simple yet powerful principle: pressure gradients. Air, like any fluid, naturally flows from an area of higher pressure to an area of lower pressure. Your body masterfully manipulates these pressure differences between the atmosphere and the inside of your lungs to ensure a continuous flow of air. When you need to breathe in, your body actively lowers the pressure inside your lungs below the atmospheric pressure, drawing air inwards. Conversely, to breathe out, it increases the internal lung pressure above atmospheric pressure, expelling air. This constant interplay of pressure dynamics is the unsung hero of every breath you take. Inspiration is an active process, meaning it requires energy and muscle contraction. The primary muscles are the diaphragm, which flattens and moves downwards, and the external intercostal muscles, which pull the ribcage upwards and outwards. These coordinated actions significantly increase the volume of your thoracic cavity, both vertically and from front to back, and side to side. This expansion leads to a drop in intrapulmonary pressure, making it lower than the atmospheric pressure, causing air to rush in. For more forceful inspirations, like during exercise, accessory muscles such as the sternocleidomastoid and scalenes also pitch in, further expanding the chest. On the other hand, normal expiration is mostly passive. It relies on the relaxation of these inspiratory muscles and the natural elastic recoil of your lungs and chest wall. As they recoil, the thoracic cavity volume decreases, raising the intrapulmonary pressure above atmospheric pressure, thus pushing air out. However, forced expiration, like blowing a candle, becomes an active process, engaging internal intercostal and abdominal muscles to actively compress the chest. Beyond the muscles and pressure, the pleural membranes play a crucial role. Your lungs are encased in a double-layered membrane called the pleura, with a thin layer of pleural fluid in between. This fluid acts as a lubricant, reducing friction as your lungs expand and contract. More importantly, it creates a strong adhesive force, effectively sticking the lungs to the inner wall of the thoracic cavity. This ensures that as your chest wall expands, your lungs expand with it. The intrapleural pressure, the pressure within this fluid-filled space, is always slightly negative compared to the atmospheric pressure. This negative pressure is vital. It helps keep the lungs inflated and prevents them from collapsing, especially during exhalation. Think of it like a suction cup, keeping the lungs attached and functional within your chest. Now that we've explored the pressure dynamics and muscle actions more deeply, it's time for some practice. Here are 5 questions designed to challenge your understanding of the medium-level concepts. Think about the active and passive processes, the role of pressure gradients, and the function of the pleural membranes. Good luck! Alright, let's elevate our understanding. We are moving into the hard level, where we'll connect breathing to fundamental physical laws and explore the intricate neural and chemical controls that govern it. The mechanics of breathing are a perfect real-world demonstration of Boyle's law. This fundamental gas law states that at a constant temperature, the pressure and volume of a gas are inversely proportional. In simpler terms, if you increase the volume of a container, the pressure of the gas inside decreases, and vice versa. During inspiration, your thoracic cavity's volume expands significantly, which directly leads to a decrease in the intrapulmonary pressure inside your lungs, making it lower than the outside atmospheric pressure. This pressure difference then forces air into your lungs. Conversely, during expiration, the thoracic cavity volume decreases, causing the intrapulmonary pressure to rise above atmospheric pressure, pushing air out. This continuous creation and reversal of pressure gradients, all thanks to Boyle's law, is what keeps you breathing. Breathing, while seeming effortless, is under sophisticated neural control, primarily originating from specialized centers in your brainstem. The medulla oblongata houses the respiratory rhythm center, which is the primary driver, setting the basic rhythm of inspiration and expiration. Think of it as the conductor of the breathing orchestra. The pons contains 2 other crucial centers, the pneumotaxic center and the apneustic center. The pneumotaxic center acts like a regulator, sending inhibitory signals to the medulla, which limits the duration of inspiration and thus increases the respiratory rate. On the other hand, the apneustic center provides stimulatory signals, prolonging inspiration and leading to deeper breaths. Together, these centers ensure a smooth, rhythmic, and adaptable breathing pattern. Additionally, chemoreceptors, specialized sensors, play a vital role. Central chemoreceptors in the medulla are highly sensitive to changes in carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration in the cerebrospinal fluid. Peripheral chemoreceptors, located in the carotid and aortic bodies, monitor oxygen, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen ion levels in the arterial blood. Carbon dioxide, through its effect on hydrogen ions, is the most potent stimulus for regulating breathing, ensuring that our body efficiently removes this waste product. Beyond the neural and chemical controls, the physical properties of the respiratory system significantly impact the ease and efficiency of breathing, lung compliance, and airway resistance. Lung compliance refers to the ability of the lungs and chest wall to stretch or expand. High compliance means the lungs are easily inflated, requiring less effort. Conditions like emphysema can increase compliance, making exhalation difficult, while fibrosis decreases it, making inhalation harder. Airway resistance, on the other hand, is the opposition to airflow within the respiratory passageways. This resistance is primarily determined by the diameter of the airways. Narrower airways, due to conditions like asthma or bronchitis, lead to increased resistance, making it much harder to move air in and out. The body constantly balances these factors to maintain optimal airflow. Many other factors can also influence our breathing rate, including our body temperature, emotional state, and physical activity levels. During exercise, for example, increased metabolic activity leads to higher CO2 production, which quickly triggers an increase in breathing rate to expel the excess CO2 and bring in more O2. You've now delved into the complex neural and chemical regulation of breathing, along with the physical factors influencing it. It's time to apply this knowledge. Here are 7 challenging questions to test your understanding of Boyle's law, chemoreceptors, and the nervous control of respiration. Take your time to analyze each question carefully. Prepare to push your limits. In this hardest level, we'll dissect the intricate neural pathways, explore specialized reflexes, delve into the critical role of pulmonary surfactant, and apply advanced gas laws to truly master the mechanism of breathing. The neural control of respiration is incredibly sophisticated, involving distinct neuronal groups in the brainstem. The dorsal respiratory group, or DRG, located in the medulla, is the primary pacemaker, responsible for generating the basic inspiratory rhythm. Its neurons send signals through the phrenic and intercostal nerves, activating the diaphragm and external intercostal muscles. The DRG's activity increases during inspiration and then abruptly stops, allowing passive expiration. The ventral respiratory group, or VRG, also in the medulla, remains largely inactive during quiet breathing but springs into action during forced respiration, recruiting accessory muscles for both deep inspiration and active expiration. These two medullary groups are fine-tuned by the pontine respiratory group in the pons, which includes the pneumotaxic and apneustic centers. The pneumotaxic center primarily inhibits inspiration, leading to shorter, faster breaths, while the apneustic center prolongs inspiration, resulting in deeper, slower breaths. This coordinated neural network ensures a flexible and efficient control over every breath we take. One crucial protective reflex in the respiratory system is the hearing-brewer reflex. This reflex is mediated by stretch receptors located in the smooth muscle walls of the bronchi and bronchioles. When the lungs become excessively inflated during a deep inspiration, these stretch receptors are activated. They send inhibitory signals via the vagus nerves back to the dorsal respiratory group in the medulla. This inhibition causes the termination of inspiration and promotes expiration, thereby preventing overstretching and potential damage to the lung tissue. While more pronounced in infants and during very deep breaths in adults, this reflex highlights the body's intrinsic mechanisms for safeguarding lung integrity. Furthermore, the chemoreceptors exhibit remarkable sensitivity. Central chemoreceptors in the medulla are the most powerful regulators, indirectly sensing CO2 by detecting the H+ ions produced when CO2 diffuses into the cerebrospinal fluid and forms carbonic acid. Peripheral chemoreceptors in the carotid and aortic bodies are primarily crucial for detecting significant drops in arterial oxygen levels below 60 mmHg, though they also respond to CO2 and H+ changes. In chronic lung conditions where CO2 is always high, these central chemoreceptors can become desensitized, making the peripheral chemoreceptors' response to low oxygen the main driving force for breathing, a phenomenon known as hypoxic drive. A microscopic yet critical player in lung function is pulmonary surfactant. This lipoprotein complex, secreted by specialized type II alveolar cells, lines the inner surface of the alveoli. Its primary role is to drastically reduce the surface tension of the fluid layer within the alveoli. Without surfactant, the high surface tension would cause the delicate alveoli to collapse, particularly the smaller ones, and make lung inflation incredibly difficult, requiring immense effort. This phenomenon is explained by the law of Laplace, which states that the pressure needed to keep an alveolus open is inversely proportional to its radius and directly proportional to surface tension. Thus, smaller alveoli would be more prone to collapse. A deficiency of surfactant is the hallmark of infant respiratory distress syndrome, or IRDS, a severe condition in premature babies whose lungs are not yet mature enough to produce sufficient surfactant. This leads to stiff lungs, extreme difficulty in breathing, and often requires medical intervention like mechanical ventilation and exogenous surfactant administration. understanding surfactants' role is key to comprehending alveolar stability and respiratory pathology. The application of gas laws, specifically Dalton's law of partial pressures and Henry's law, is also fundamental to gas exchange. Dalton's law explains that each gas in a mixture exerts its own pressure independently, and gases move down their individual partial pressure gradients. This ensures oxygen flows from the alveoli into the blood and carbon dioxide from the blood into the alveoli. Henry's law dictates how much gas dissolves in a liquid based on its partial pressure and solubility, crucial for understanding how oxygen and carbon dioxide are transported in the blood plasma. Finally, understanding the various respiratory volumes and capacities, typically measured by spirometry, provides invaluable clinical insights into lung function. Tidal volume, or TV, is the amount of air inhaled or exhaled during a normal, quiet breath, usually around 500 milliliters. Inspiratory reserve volume, or IRV, is the extra air you can forcibly inhale after a normal inspiration, while expiratory reserve volume, or ERV, is the additional air you can forcibly exhale after a normal expiration. Residual volume, or RV, is the air that always remains in your lungs even after a maximal exhalation, preventing alveolar collapse and ensuring continuous gas exchange. Combining these volumes gives us capacities. Vital capacity, or VC, is the maximum air you can exhale after a maximal inhalation, representing the usable air for breathing. Total lung capacity, or TLC, is the total volume of air your lungs can hold. Deviations in these volumes and capacities, as measured by spirometry, can indicate various respiratory disorders, from restrictive lung diseases that reduce lung volumes to obstructive lung diseases that impair airflow. This detailed understanding of lung mechanics, from neural control to gas laws and volumes, forms the bedrock of respiratory physiology and clinical diagnosis, offering a complete picture of how the body breathes. You've now explored the deepest layers of the mechanism of breathing. It's time to consolidate your understanding with a set of challenging questions. Here are the first 5 questions, designed to test your knowledge of advanced neural control, the hearing-Brewer reflex, and the intricate functions of chemoreceptors and surfactant. Take your time, think critically, and apply all the concepts we've discussed. Let's continue to challenge your grasp of the mechanism of breathing at the highest level. Here are the remaining 5 questions. These will push you to connect concepts like gas laws, respiratory volumes, and their clinical significance. Remember, success in NEET requires not just memorization, but a deep analytical understanding. Good luck with these final challenges. And that brings us to the end of our incredibly detailed session on the mechanism of breathing. From the simple muscle actions to the complex neural pathways and gas laws, we've covered it all across 4 levels of depth. I hope this journey has not only clarified your concepts but also sparked a deeper curiosity about the marvels of the human body. For more such engaging and comprehensive educational content, make sure to visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for continuous learning. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning with us. Thank you for joining, and see you next time.